There was a couple older kids who lived across the street. They had these tapes and they started showing me gay porn. They basically wanted to do the acts in the video on me. I never had the talk on where babies come from. I didn't understand anything. You don't really know you're traumatized. I just knew it was not normal, and I went into a totally self-destructive direction. So I grew up in Azerbaijan. I remember food rations, where food would get allocated. You have to line up to get your food for the week. Water rations, we get a tub of water to share. So it wasn't like third world developing country vibes, but it was definitely not America. My mother's adopted by an Armenian family. My dad is Armenian. In the late 80s was the pogroms of Baku. That's when we came to America. When I came here, the first place we went to was a Lucky's grocery store. Like, wow, this is very, very, very different. It was literally like going from seeing the world in these muted colors to like America being bright and colorful. When we came to America, we started going to the Armenian Apostolic Church. It was functionally the community hub for the Armenian refugee community in San Diego. So that's where everyone went for social gatherings. It was less about like, hey, we're gonna sit everybody down and tell them the gospel. It was more about, you're Christian because you're Armenian, and you're Armenian, therefore you're Christian, so you're gonna go to this gathering of sorts. I remember a couple times going to Sunday school and like hearing about Jesus and the crucifixion. I was just like, that's crazy. Why is he on the cross? But you didn't have to go to Sunday school. You could just pop in and just hang out. You know, that's kind of what I did. I just pop in and hang out, and then they were like, hey, you should be an altar boy. There was a couple older kids who lived across the street from me and in the same neighborhood. At one point, these two boys, they had these tapes and they started showing me gay porn. They basically wanted to do the acts in the video on me. I never had the talk on where babies come from. I didn't understand anything. It wasn't sex in the same sense that where it's like pleasuring. I just knew it was not normal. Like I had a sense of like, oh, this isn't normal. Then when it came out, it was spun to make me be the aggressor. It was a big hoopla amongst the Armenian community. I don't even know if they ever directly addressed it. It was more like it was known. That definitely had an effect of my view of God and then my view of like the church and their lack of engagement. It was a pretty messy situation. Subsequently after, my mother and my father split up, and so I grew up in San Diego without my dad. He tried to make an effort. I remember one time he was coming over to see me, and there was one of my mom's boyfriends there, and they ended up getting like in a fist fight in front of me. Mom jumps in and pulls off her heel, like ripped my dad's face. He had a big old gash and was bleeding profusely. The cops got called, and then she was telling me like, hey, just say your dad attacked my boyfriend. And I was like, huh? As a young kid being propped up to lie, it was pretty gnarly. I'm wondering, why can't my relationship with my dad be the same? I'm wondering why she's with these dudes that are violent towards her. As a kid, it was a lot of like, this sucks. There's no God. There's no God, and if there is, he definitely does not like me. Right? If there's a God, why does he allow evil? Evil in general, but then evil very practically in my life. The moment I was able to get some form of autonomy, I did, and I went into a totally self-destructive direction. Trying to sell weed, breaking into houses, stealing, harmful stuff that I knew was harmful at the time. When I got arrested, I got caught. We had broken into this kid's house. We knew that his mom left the key under the doormat for him. They knew it was us, but they didn't have any proof. This is the type of environment I grew up in. There was always something, always a fight, the police always coming by. But it was different when they kind of came looking for me. Oh, they're here for me. I had the opportunity to have a fresh start, came to North County, San Diego, totally different than where I was at. And I had been scared straight. I wasn't gonna smoke weed, I wasn't gonna drink. And that's when I discovered like, oh, who you're around in your environment matters. My grades went up, started trying to strength train and lift weights. That was a healthy outlet for a change and not a self-destructive one. Music gave me a way and an outlet to put words together. My identity kind of started to evolve to incorporate the music aspect. By the end of my sophomore year, I have multiple CDs, a bunch of different rap groups and bands and all kinds of stuff, and just kind of kept pursuing it, and it just slowly built over time. I was dating a girl who got me going to church. In order to see her during the summer, I went to church with her and her family. At this point, I believe there is a God. However, I don't know if he's Jesus, if God Almighty is Jesus. Then all of a sudden, it became more and more compelling. It became more and more real. God started showing himself to me. My boss at the time and my lead shift driver were Christians, and they ended up getting me a book. And that was my first dive into apologetics. And I kind of got answers to all the questions and came to the conclusion that Jesus is who he claimed to be. And then it was like, okay, I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm going to surrender my life. The struggle in a lot of ways just began in terms of wanting to wage war on my sin. The introduction of a computer was amazing in that I could make music at will now, but it also allowed me immense access to internet porn, which took a while for me to shake. Unpacking the issues in the past really started because I was in a small group. It was good that I had outlets now to understand that oh, this isn't normal. You dealing with this isn't normal. You don't really know you're traumatized until you have had distance from the trauma to process it all. So it would show up in all sorts of ways. It would show up in relationships, friendships, the porn, and getting healing from it came when I kind of started seeing a pattern. And it was like, okay, the porn is just the symptom. I have to get to the root and not just deal with the symptom. To really cleanse yourself, you got to go deeper. What is going on psychologically, right? If you're coming from trauma, you stay in your head and you stay questioning and doubting. Once you find freedom from the consistent issues, you can do really incredible things. So all of this culminated to me eventually seeking mental health treatment on top of taking a class at my church, and then getting into fitness and training and really locking in and getting in shape and seeing my body transform. I was like, oh, this is possible with a couple months of deliberate focus and hitting a couple key things. What else is possible if I take that same tenacity, that same drive, that same willingness to channel the hurt and the pain and the darkness into something productive? What else can I do? That's how the music became more successful. That's how the YouTube became successful. Then it just became the template for everything else. I was already dabbling with YouTube. I was already doing podcasts. I was already doing, maybe a reaction video here or there. But I had this idea of going live and then using the YouTube editor to chop down and really going frequency. How many things can I publish in the fastest amount of time? 2020, I really went all in. So I think I started at about 15,000 subscribers at the beginning of 2020. By the end of 2020, I want to say I'm close to 70,000 subscribers and $5,000 a month in AdSense. The moment I started seeing some real money from YouTube is when I reinvested it and brought Zach on full time. That was unlock to scale. The interesting part about YouTube and music, it's all been little by little moments here and there. You create these unique connections with people that are like, oh, this is cool. I never thought I'd be in this room. I never thought I'd be around this person. I never thought this person would want to talk to me and want to ask for my insight. You become a safe space for people. That opens the door for ministry to happen. I don't mean ministry as that we're laying hands and praying on people, though that does happen. But I mean ministry in the sense of just meeting someone's needs of just being a good friend or just being a good listener, being the practical presence of Jesus in people's lives. I think is a huge privilege. The vision for the future is an interesting question. There's a lot of dreams, but I could have all the vision in the world, but ultimately God has to make things come to fruition. So I'm really focused on doing my part. You never really land where you think you're going to land. It never really pans out exactly the way you pan out. Generally, let me just be faithful to what's in front of me. Let me be considerate and do the things that seem to make the most sense for the next season. We've, by the grace of God, tripled our business from a year ago. We've doubled our team. You can't always control. What am I going to set projections and we're going to triple it again this year? We're going to quadruple it. God, he's not a magic genie in a bottle where he's just going to do all the work for you. He's going to work with you and the Holy Spirit's going to work with you, but it's on us to cooperate. Figure out the ways of God for your finances, for your health, for your marriage, for your career, and you figure out how to implement the ways of God. Then that's where breakthrough happens. Hey, this is Ruslan, and you're watching This Is Me TV. Got it?
Thank you.
Woo!
Hold up. Thank you for watching, sharing, ringing that bell, and dropping a comment below. We love creating these inspirational faith stories for you and thousands of others. Now, all the stories on this channel are brought to you in partnership with Impactus and are donor funded, which means people have given so that you can be encouraged in your faith. Yeah, people care that much about you. And today, we'd like to invite you to be a part of this mission with us. This Is Me TV exists to encourage and empower the online generation to live unashamed for God and use their God-given gifts to influence culture. We do this by creating stories like the one you've just watched. And to date, we've had over 1.8 million viewers watched and be encouraged in their faith right here. It's mind-blowing to see how God has and will continue to use This Is Me TV. So would you be willing to join us today and help us equip this generation for a life of purpose and godly impact? The link's below, or head on over to impactus.org/give. Much love from us all, and thank you so much for considering this partnership.